Hey guys, Thunder E here, and yes, I have the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra, and welcome to my gaming video. Now, if you watch the Galaxy events, I'm the guy in there talking about the device, so I'm going to basically give you my full thoughts on what I actually think on this. So let's start off with the very first thing, the hardware. This thing is well built. I think Samsung's always done a really good job with their tablets, but when they talked about how thin it is at 5.1 millimeters, it is that thin. It is super thin, where there's just enough space to put the power button and the volume rocker on there. You can see how thin it is, especially for its size at 14.6 inches. It's also incredibly light. It's about 675 grams, 1.5 pounds in terms of weight, and it feels comfortable to hold. And I like that about it, especially if you're gonna be gaming, right? You think about it, and that display is something really special because of a couple of things. One is the bezels. I know we don't talk about bezels that much anymore, but there's enough space in the bezels so you to hold this in grip, which is nice. But the other thing is the camera dimple. That is nice, which means you have enough real estate. There's no cutouts on there, so if you're gaming, you're watching content, doesn't matter, you get a full view of it. Now, the display is a Dynamic AMOLED 2X display. Looks absolutely gorgeous. You can see the Kakashi wallpaper. Every single wallpaper I used here, whether it's the Sukuna with the wings, whether it's the One Punch Man wallpaper, or even the Jinwoo wallpaper, looks absolutely stunning. And the Naruto one too as well. All of them look really good on this because that display is vibrant in every aspect. You know, 2960 by 1848 resolution looks really good. But the main thing we care about, of course, is performance for gaming. So Samsung announced that there's a new 3nm chipset. It's of course the Dimensity 9400. This chipset is supposed to give us some really good performance overall. And when we take a look at our Geek Benchmark scores here, we start off with our CPU scores. We're looking at a single core score of 2800 and a multi-core score of 9173, which is pretty good. I like those numbers, but the GPU scores are really nice as well at 20,609. So some very good performance scores all around, which is great. So what does that mean for us in terms of gaming performance, right? So we're taking a look at a bunch of games here, and the games we're looking at are going to be Genshin Impact. They're going to be Wuthering Waves, Call of Duty Mobile, and Delta Force Mobile, and finally Destiny Rising. Yes, I know, a Destiny mobile game. We're gonna check them out. And Destiny Rising is very interesting because my buddy Show talked about how he couldn't play Destiny on his iPhone and his Android devices without heating it up. So we check temperatures and all that fun stuff to see how it performs. Now let's start off with Delta Force Mobile. This is a game that can go up to 144 FPS, and this display does 120 Hertz refresh rate. So we should see if we can push this game as much as possible. Plus there's ray tracing and all that stuff in here. So we went with the maximum settings we could go for on a Delta Force Mobile, which goes up to 120 FPS and HD in terms of resolution. And the game runs really well. Performance is nice, super smooth, and we're doing close to 120 FPS on there. Kind of goes between 115 and 119 here, which is great. Solid performance all around. Again, this is an it's an open world map. You can see the details on there. The game looks really good and plays really well. Now, I'll get to temps when I look at all the games, but I really like the performance here on this. Now, the next game is Genshin Impact. We know Genshin is a workhorse that, of course, takes a lot of performance on there. So we went with the maximum settings, 60 FPS gaming. Yes, I'm sure you can probably do higher than 60 FPS, but of course, that it's not updated for that. But we're able to play that, and it ran 60 FPS all the way through. Played about 30, 40 minutes of gameplay, and it stayed at 60 FPS all the way. It was solid, great performance all around, and it ran smooth. Plus there is controller support. Now I wish Delta Force Mobile has controller support because it was easier to just put this laptop and enjoy that big display for gaming right there. But performance ran pretty smooth. You can see the FPS performance right there. Now the next game is Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves, we went of course with the max settings we could do here. And performance wise, we got some really solid performance, but here's where we saw some dips. So it ranged between 47 to about 58 FPS. It did stay at 60 at some point, but whenever we got into intense battle action, it could drop down to 47 FPS in terms of performance. But I would say the average is roughly around 50 to 53. for gaming here, which is good, but you could see where it really takes a performance hit. So that's something to take note with this device here. But Wuthering Waves still played pretty well, and also again has controller support. Now, the next game is Call of Duty Mobile. And you expect me to normally start with this because I usually start with Call of Duty Mobile because this is, of course, is the least graphically intensive game out of all of them. And here I went with the max settings. You go with max all the way through, but we got 60 FPS. And I think this is, of course, due to the fact that driver updates are still not available for this, especially for this tablet. So that's something we have to see, but it ran super smooth, and also performance was really solid, plus controller support, which is great to see. And I think we'll see an update to that FPS there. So we'll probably see higher FPS performance, but it ran smooth at 60 FPS. Now, the last game is Destiny Rising. Quick one, Destiny is a game on PC and console that I just didn't like because of the darkness, but that's beside the point. This game runs really well at max settings, 60 FPS all the way. Performance is great, and the game runs very, very smooth. Control support is also there. It looks pretty good, and you can see the details here that it takes advantage of this tablet. And I think this is a game that a lot of people should pick up and play. And if you're going to be picking up this device, you definitely enjoy playing Destiny on here. Now, temperatures. So how are temps overall here? Now, the highest temps I got for this is 105 degrees. And this was in between playing Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. Now, 105 is pretty high, but because of the tablet's layout and size, the only part that actually got warm was around here. So you didn't really feel it that much. And I think at 105 max, especially for the gameplay period I had, was pretty good. Roughly, most temperatures stayed roughly at around 98 degrees, which is in line with what you expect. And I like the cooling on this, especially for how thin this device is. I think those temperatures are very, very good. So what about battery life? How was the battery life playing, and what did I actually get? So I started off at 100% and I played for about 2 hours and 40 minutes, almost 3 hours with this. And I went from 100% and went down to 77. This was playing all the games that I mentioned at its max settings, which is very good there. Now, the other thing to note is that this is an 11,600 milliamp battery. So it's a very big, beefy battery in here, which also adds to that really good battery drain. And it does support 45 watts wired charging, which is nice. But Samsung, we need faster wired charging here. The good thing I'll mention is that the standby time on this tablet is impressive. I actually had it for 2 days where I didn't touch it, and I only lost 1% in terms of battery. So that's also pretty good when it comes to that. So in the Samsung press event, I mentioned the speakers, quad speakers. These things have been updated. And do they sound good? Well, let's take a listen to gaming, music, and also just some vocals as well to see how well they sound.
Sniper! Eliminated.
Let's go, let's go. Fry! You're open! Cool it! Here they come! Delta 1, this is Delta 2. We're ready for extraction. Over. Copy, man.
Galaxy Z Fold 7 came out, everyone said, yes, this is time for foldables. This is the foldable to get. In this video, we're going to be checking out the Mono Magic V5 versus the Galaxy Z Fold 7 to find out which is the best foldable in comparisons from the speakers to display, gaming, camera, battery life, all that fun stuff. So let's jump in.
To the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 over a month ago, and there's a lot that I like about it, but it's not perfect. So, will I be sticking to it? Let's find out. Now, initially, I want to talk about the design, and I've said this before, but to me, this is the biggest upgrade.
Honestly, it sounds very, very good. I love the audio on here. Very rich. Dolby Atmos is supported as well. So you get a really good balance of rich sound from this tablet, which is nice to see. And I think Samsung has done a really good job with the audio here, which a lot of people would like. And the speakers just do a very, very good job overall. Now, one last point before I wrap up is I want to talk about wireless DeX. So DeX is something that works really well on this tablet. You can activate it by simply going to your multitask and jumping into DeX and creating a DeX desktop, or wireless DeX, you can swipe down for notification to activate that. But once you do, wireless DeX is great, but for gaming, not so much. This is one part where you're gonna see a lot of lag. Try and playing Destiny Rising on there. You can see the lag, it dropped down to under 30 FPS, so it's definitely not good for gaming, but you get the idea there. Now, if it's wired, you probably get better performance overall, but I do like wireless DeX. I want to see some more improvements there. So what do I think about this device? Yes, I know another wallpaper. I have all the wallpapers for you. Doesn't matter which one you see. I think overall, when you look at this device, it is solid. Now, starting price point is $1,199, which can be pricey for some people, but I gotta say, they've done a really good job with this tablet. I like the improved speakers. I like the performance on there. I also like the fact that it just looks really good. Now, the price point might be a little high for some people, which I think is still in line what you're looking for. My biggest thing that I would change is charging. I want faster charging. I think everything else on a gaming perspective works really well. The display adds to it, the performance is great, and also great speakers. So what do you guys think? Do you like the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra and its game performance? Let me know. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment. Yeah, look at that wallpaper. So dope, so dope.